Well, hello everybody. Welcome back again to week 2 of the Go to College series. Again, this is a virtual summer series that we've been hosting for the past 3 years. And the whole purpose of it is to help those of you who are especially getting into college for the first time kind of adjust and gain your confidence as we start to begin the school year here pretty soon. I know everybody is in different spots right now. Some of you might have already starter classes, or those of you are getting ready for orientation. No matter what space that you're in right now, we're definitely excited to have you join us today and hope that you've been enjoying all the content thus far. We had week 1 last week with 3 sessions, so now this week it's all going to be the college fun people. So we're definitely excited to tell you about different things that we're knowledgeable about and sharing our own experiences while we were in college and everything. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we are in week 2. So we're going to start off with me and Shawn this week, and we're going to be talking about finding scholarships for college, also talking about how to fund yourself through college in different ways. So as we know, scholarships are the most popular way, but we'll talk about other options and things that we did to help get us some extra money to pay for other things in college. And then we're going to be having Lara Nobraid, who's going to be talking about her study abroad experience and how to step out of your comfort zone in college. And she's one of our college success coaches, as Shawn is. And then we'll have Brittany Tabor, who I work with in the college access space. And she will be talking about how advisors help you succeed. So we'll be touching on these different areas. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all starting at 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So we are so welcome. We welcome you to join those sessions. And if you have not registered for any but are interested in it, please look at our website. It's collegefund.org/SCO2College, SCO2COLLEGE. Had to really use my brain cells there. Oh my gosh, it's been a slow morning. So and then we'll round out our last week with the last 3 sessions. So yeah, we hope to see you all there. And then I also want to remind everybody again about the session prizes. So we are going to be giving out some various prizes, and we are going to be going off of a tier system. So basically, the more sessions that you attend, the bigger the prizes are going to get. So just by attending 1 session, you'll be eligible to win a $25 gift card. If you attend 2 sessions, you'll be eligible to win a pair of headphones. If you attend 3 sessions, you'll be eligible to win a Fire 10 tablet. And then if you attend 4 or more sessions, you'll be eligible to win our grand prize, which is a laptop. So the big ticket to get your name into these items is to attend a session and then fill out the event evaluation at the end. You must submit one event evaluation for each session that you attend. So those of you who attended your sessions last week, those have been recorded. So I know some of you are already in the running pretty soon here for the laptop. So definitely feel free to register for those sessions if you want to build up your chances to win. But just by attending 1 session, you'll be entered to win a gift card. So definitely we want to have you guys all attend those sessions. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into our presentation. So like I said, I forgot to change the title. I'm so sorry about that. But today we're going to be talking about scholarships and funding your way through college. So Shawn and I are going to be hosting the session today. So let me go ahead and share the screen. Can you see our presentation? Or did I stop share?
Yeah, no, looks good.
Awesome. So again, Shawn and I are going to be talking about paying for college, and this will talk over scholarships and financial strategies for first-time students. And it's also a good refresher for those current college students who also might need some tips and advice on how to pay for other things. College definitely brings some abundance of different scenarios other than paying for your tuition and everything. So today, Shawn and I are definitely going to be explaining our strategies and other helpful ways on how we funded our way through college. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I'll go ahead and go first. So yate Adrianna so Yanashia Kosofana Nashle Kia Ani Bashichin Zedesh Gishi Dash Chake Ogadashanale. Hi everyone, my name is Adrianna and I am Dinette. I'm originally from Gallup, New Mexico, but I currently reside in Albuquerque. So I just introduced myself in my Dinette language. And I have been with the College Fund for 3 years now, almost 3 years. Oh my gosh. I think this Friday or this Thursday will be my third year anniversary. So I'm really glad to be here. I've been working with the Go to College series for the past 3 years. So really excited to see the development in it. And I work in college access. So I work primarily with our high school partners and college readiness programming and all of that. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here with you all today. And then I'll go ahead and have Shawn introduce himself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Bitsui, Shawn and Adrianna, class and Shawn, Addianna. Again, thanks again for joining us today. It's this quick introduction for myself as well. I am also part of the Southwest, part of the Navajo Nation. Pretty much been with the College Fund since 2023. So I am sort of another arm of Brittany's team, but also with the College Success team. So I work predominantly with our scholars and all of our scholarship recipients throughout the country. So I work with a lot of cohorts and manage a multitude of different scholarship programs. So if any of you guys applied to the scholarship fund through the College Fund, I could be your coach. So, but we're happy that you guys are joining us today. We're excited to talk about some of the great subject matter we have here today, and also throw in some of our own experiences in college. So happy to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, here's our presentation flow for today. So we'll just kind of go over the different things we'll be talking about. So we did our introductions and we'll also introduce the topic a little bit more. And then we're going to be covering why this is important for you to know the different financial aid strategies to fund your way through college. Scholarships being, definitely the most popular one, but there's also some other ways that you can fund your way through college. And then we'll go over the overview of these funding resources and just kind of talk a little bit about what those are, break them down a little bit. And then we're also going to cover some other expenses in college that you might face and how to find resources to help your way through those different things. And then we'll do a little bit of storytelling. So both myself and Shawn will be sharing our own personal experience of our college life and how we navigated our ways through that with, applying for scholarships, working, applying for grants and all those different things. And then we'll close and have some time for some questions if you have any. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started in the presentation.
Great. Thank you again, Adrianna. So yeah, we'll start it off with paying for college can be done in multitude of ways. So again, there's different variations of how to fund your college. Of course, I think the biggest one is to really understand the different types of funding resources available to you as either returning students or first-year students. I think, of course, the biggest one is really understanding your scholarship options and variety. Again, there's a lot of areas you can look into, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about where you can find some of these resources. Of course, scholarships being the biggest ones. There's scholarships through the university or colleges they're applying to. There's state scholarships. There's national scholarships such as the American Indian College Fund through being a scholar through our organization. I'm sure a lot of your tribes and maybe even some of your organizations in your communities probably have some funding options as well. So with that comes a lot of state grants as well and Pell Grants. One little thing about me is some of universities and colleges may have their own unique grants as well. I know when I was in my undergrad, I actually received one of our university grants as well to help pay for some of my schooling. So those are always really great resources to look into and definitely ask about, whether it's asking with your financial aid office, or maybe if you have a financial advisor or a student success coach. Those are always really great resources to definitely get in touch with when you're sort of looking at funding your school and your education. Also, definitely is really looking at employment opportunities on campus as well as work study. I know with work study, a lot of those are financially It depends on your financial aid opportunity. So definitely file for uh, not ANSFA, sorry, your FAFSA definitely when you're about to get into your schooling semester. And then, of course, lastly is the loans, whether federal or private. Again, those are a key difference between the rest of the three. Of course, you need to pay back your loan. So if you have to come to the point where you need to utilize loans, that's one thing to always pay attention to. And of course, so definitely you want to look into the interest rate and what that is going forward as well. And we can move on to the next slide from there, Adriana.
Yeah, and just one more antidote too. It's really important to make sure you know that or know which ones that you do have to pay back and don't have to pay back. So really the loans are the biggest ones that you will have to pay back. And just like Shawn was saying, they'll have interest. So that's like an added fee that you'll have to pay additional with the amount that you borrow, either from federal or private. So just make sure you're making note of that. And then the other three scholarships, grants, employment, or work study, you don't need to pay back. That's your money, either to spend on your room and board or your college tuition, or with like employment and work study, that can be like your additional pocket money to help you, fund different ways or other things outside of college. So. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna break down the first two, the scholarships and the grants, just to give a little bit more context into those. And then when we talk about the employment work study or the loans, we'll kind of talk about that in our own individual stories. So we'll kind of break it down there just a little bit. So there's different types of scholarships. There's local level, institutional, which can be your college or your school, national, and then identity based. So the local level, that can be like your own tribal education department, or there might be like, a boys and girls club in your area that might offer scholarships. Institutional college, again, that can be depending on your financial need or your merit base. So merit based usually goes off of your academic performance. So like in high school, if you had a high GPA, a grade point average, sometimes the college that you apply for will see that on your transcript, and then they'll offer you like a merit-based scholarship. So like you'll be on the president's list or something, and that'll give you like an additional scholarship. Or other ways, like they might fund you if you're going into a specific school, like let's say you're going into the School of Science or something, or biology in there at the college. Sometimes they'll have additional scholarships specifically for you. So national level, again, that can be organizations that fund all over the nation. So like American Indian College Fund, we fund different Native students all over the country. And then identity based as well, that can be depending on if you're Native American, or if there's a specific scholarship that you can apply for if you live in the western side of the country. And then there's also various different ones that kind of depend on demographics. It's really important to figure out to find out if those are need-based and merit-based. Again, need-based is going to be based on your financial need analysis. So there will be a process for that. And then merit-based, again, that goes off of your academic performance, usually going off of your grade point average or your grades. So really good to find those out. And some ways to find this is always a good way to find out where these different opportunities are, is to ask your financial aid office. More than half of, or more than they're more than willing to help you out. Sometimes they'll have their own list or database or handout to give you with different financial aid opportunities to look for. You can always do your own research online. I would say that's the biggest way for you to find scholarships. A lot of the time it's going to be very research based. So you can look on your scholarship databases. I think there's a website that's literally called scholarships.com. And then you can look on location and community. I think a good way to find specific location and community-based scholarships is social media. So I know Facebook is like the new age newspaper for a lot of people. And it's good to follow like your tribal education departments on social media, or any different organizations, because more than often we do repost and share a lot of additional scholarship or opportunities that can help college students. So you can also follow us. We're Native Pathways on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or X, whichever you refer to it. We also always share and repost different scholarship opportunities, and several different things that you might be interested in. Also on our own webpage too, if you look up collegefund.org/scholarships, you'll find not only our scholarship information, but we do have a list of other scholarships that you could potentially apply for that are catered specifically for natives as well. So again, a lot of the scholarship search is research based. So as long as you're getting your information and keeping everything organized in one central location, you'll be able to find those and hopefully apply for all the scholarships out there. So the other type is grants. So there are kind of two sets of grants that you can apply for. For federal, the most popular one is the Pell Grant, and that is financial need based. So that goes off of your most likely your parents or your guardian's financial need information, or unless you're applying as an independent or an individual independent, then you'll go off of your own financial need. So with that, you can apply for work study. And again, work study is you usually can find a job on campus that offers work study, and you can set your own hours. They're usually really flexible with you because you are a student on campus, and that's your own money that you can use on whatever you want. It doesn't have to just be towards your academics. You can use that if you want to, or that can just be like your additional spending money just to kind of help you. And then there's state grants. So state grants are usually financial need based. So again, going off of your financial need analysis, and most of the time it'll go off of residency as well. So if you live in Montana, there might be a specific grant that being a student in Montana might be able to offer you. And then it also depends on what college you're attending as well, most likely in state. So I know for New Mexico, we have a specific grant, which is the New Mexico Opportunity Grant, that is offered to New Mexico students who are going to a New Mexico institution. So that's University of New Mexico or New Mexico State University, or the other colleges too. So again, do your research and see if your own state has these opportunities to do as well. The most common thing for both of these opportunities is you have to apply for the free application for federal student aid, which is FAFSA to qualify. So most of the time, FAFSA is very, very important for you to complete and to submit, because a lot of different financial aid opportunities can come from your FAFSA. And the sooner that you apply for it and submit it, the better chance you are at getting the most funding opportunities. So definitely, I hope most of the people have submitted their FAFSA by this point, but if you haven't already, please do so. There's still a chance for you to gain some financial aid. And for the next cycle that's going to be opening up later this fall, please make sure that you're putting that date on there. Remind yourself that you need to fill out the FAFSA as soon as possible so that you can get the most funding opportunity.
Alrighty, staying organized. I know that's always a big item, especially when you're getting ready for college and schooling in general. I think, of course, one of the biggest things and tips we can always talk about is just being organized and making note of important deadlines. So again, just referring back to what Adrianna touched on, if there's scholarship deadlines that are coming up, really make sure to note that, either if in a calendar, or if you have a personal planner or a journal. Those are always really important to sort of implement it and note, because one thing, for example, for the college fund, for our full circle scholarship, you have to reapply for that every academic year. So every May, it's a new submission from you. So that's one thing to really know. As well as some scholarships, maybe, every semester, every year. So you really want to sort of stay on top of those and really know when those upcoming deadlines are coming up. So I think time management is a really key thing to that. And we'll talk a little bit about a little more about that once we get into our own personal experiences with school and education. But definitely utilize any planners or calendars. I know a lot of that's already on our phone nowadays. If you have a university-based system, you may have a already academic planner on your calendar. But I know some of us may be a little old school and utilize, a physical calendar, either at your work desk, or maybe at your apartment or your dorm. That's always a really great thing as well. Maybe just to note some really important deadlines and events that could be coming up in your schedule. Spreadsheets are always helpful as well. If you're really big into Excel or just any of the Microsoft Word processes, that's something you can definitely utilize to really stay on top of your task. Really keep track of all your documents as well. I think that's really key. I know for me, I definitely have folders upon folders of all my previous scholarship applications. You want to sort of bunch those together, keep them sort of tight knit under a specific folder to making sure you can always refer back to them. I know some scholarships ask similar questions, so definitely be careful when you're sort of applying to multiple scholarships. I know from being on the end of a scholarship organization, the last thing you want to see when you have a submission from a student or a scholar is having the title read out to the wrong person. So I think if you're utilizing templates or you're applying to multiple scholarships, always make sure to, don't just copy and paste. Really pay attention to who the recipients are. Make sure all your references are up to date. So that's one thing you want to sort of stay on top of when you're applying to multiple scholarships. And of course, just the last tip is really, make sure to keep track of all of your essays and personal statements, future references. Make sure those are up to date. I've been in instances when I'm reviewing references from students where, unfortunately, some of the references are from people that are deceased. So you really want to pay attention to who you include on references for scholarships. Make sure all your information is up to date, whether it's your phone number or your mailing address. So just really staying on top of and keeping track of all the nitty-gritty details regarding organization and really staying on track of that. And it comes with practice. Just keep working on it, and it definitely will be something you can sort of add to your repertoire as you sort of continue to go through the motions of utilizing some of these processes for your organizational skills in the future. We can go ahead and jump to the next one, Adrianna.
Sorry about that. So some other expenses to plan ahead for outside of academics or paying for your tuition or other things are some you'll need to think ahead of these additional expenses that may come up depending on your scenario. If you're going away for college, away from your home community, or if you're going to be staying local, I think a lot of these scenarios would still be applicable in different ways. So it's always good to just think ahead of these different things. So car maintenance. So if you're planning to take a car with you, or if you're planning to find a car or purchase a car, it's always good to think of the car maintenance. So that can be gas, that can be, like oil changes or just general maintenance that might come up. It's always good to just plan ahead for those different things. You don't have to have like tons of money, put aside for that, but just, kind of keep that in mind and maybe just create a general savings that would always help out too. And then dorm essentials. So depending on if you're going to be living in the dorm or even if you're going to be living off campus in an apartment with other friends or whatever, it's always good to think about just living expenses in general. So food, if you have a meal plan or if you don't have a meal plan, it's always good to just have food with you or have some type of snacks. And a lot of campuses will also have like a food pantry as well that is available to students to come and take things as they need it. So definitely, if that's of interest to you, please partake in those. Those are for you as students. Cleaning supplies, just to keep everything nice and clean, you want to make sure your space is nice and tidy so that you can have a clear mind while you're working on your school assignments. Toiletries, shampoo, body wash, shaving cream, whatever that looks like. Definitely make sure you're having enough to have to get those and to keep supplying yourself with that. Something I also want to mention too is that as students, a lot of places have student discounts as well. So it's good to do your research onto that, or you might start getting ads that pop up on your timelines. So like I know Amazon has Amazon Prime for students, so it's like $4.99 or something. There's also like movie tickets you can get for cheaper as being students. There's a specific website as well that I can't remember right now, but they have a whole compilation of different student discounts you can be eligible for. So definitely do your research. Again, a lot of the stuff is research, but take advantage of those opportunities that you have as a student. Airfare, gas, bus tickets, any type of transportation. Again, if you're planning to go home for any of the breaks or anything. Make sure you're keeping in mind of those. Any school supplies like purchasing books for classes, calculators, classroom supplies. Those are some things to keep note of. And then any social activities, outside of classes, you want to have some fun. So whether that be concert tickets, sporting event tickets, or if you want to go hit up the local casino, that can also be something fun to do. And then any medical supplies too. So that can be medication, any like medical instruments that you might need. So either have those on deck and supply, or make sure that you're purchasing or having those on hand before you go into into college and into your campuses. So those are some things to think of. And these are kind of some topics that we'll be talking about in our stories, which we're gonna get into next. So I believe I'm first. All right, so we're going to talk about our college experiences, and we're just going to kind of share from our own personal experience how we got ourselves through college and how we, purchased different things, and just kind of giving you some real life advice, I guess. So, in my experience, so I went to college about 1,000 miles away from home. I went to school in Oregon, so that's where I played volleyball, and I was recruited to play there. And that was really different for me because, again, I'm from New Mexico, always lived my life in the Southwest. So moving up to the Pacific Northwest definitely was a change in scenery, of course. But I think it was definitely like a really fun experience while I was there, and especially the rainy weather. I love the rainy weather. It was nice to get out of the sun for a while. I definitely did lose like 3 shades of color as I was living up there, but I eventually, got my surroundings and everything. And as you're in school, you have to balance a multitude of different things. So like school, or if you're going to work, or if you're going to partake in school activities like clubs. So I did all three. So I, of course, was a full-time student, but I also managed to work. So I did a lot of I did a lot of work study jobs. And again, those jobs are offered to you through the FAFSA. You can apply and be eligible to apply for those, so that your school will get additional funding to pay you basically your salary as you're working. So I did a lot of jobs. I worked in the advising office as like a front desk clerk, I guess. I worked in our mailroom, which was a really fun experience. I love that. The mailroom was a really popular job that a lot of students wanted to get on campus. And I was luckily lucky enough to finally get that job my sophomore year, so my second year of college. And that was really fun, processing processing different packages, mail that comes in, also delivering on campus, sending out packages and everything. And then eventually that led me to get a job at the local post office as well, which was really fun. And then I also did FedEx as well. So again, a lot of these opportunities I found just by having my school email. The career office was sending us multiple emails of like listings of different jobs that were looking for college students. And during the holidays as well is when a lot of colleges, or when a lot of jobs will look for like seasonal help. So that'll be just for like 2 or 3 months during the holiday seasons. And that'll mostly be like your retail workers, or even like your mail delivery services. So I did FedEx for seasonal during the Christmas season, just to kind of get a few extra bucks to help out and pay for things. So I think with a lot of these jobs too, I was able to build up my network. So just by talking to people, just by sharing your story or why you're in college, where you're from and everything. I mean, as a college student, you're going to be the most interesting person in a lot of these places. They want to get to know you. They want to hear your story. They want to hear your motivation, your encouragement. They want to hear everything about you. And a lot of times they'll refer you to different places too. So I had a friend who was working as a freelance photographer who went to go, who got hired by the local track team at the high school down the road from our college. And just by, talking and getting to know the coaches and the school and everything there, he got a chance to do an internship at Nike in their marketing department. So yeah, I mean, just talk, just share your story, and don't be afraid to share your story. again, a lot of these people and a lot of these companies and organizations want to hear more from you, and they want to hear your dreams and your aspirations and why you're in college. So I always say in college, that's the best place for you to get these opportunities because they're readily available for you. Again, they want to help college students. They have funding, they have opportunities and different programs specifically for college students. So a lot of the time you're going to get paid to do a lot of different things. So you're going to be paid to do research, you're going to be paid to travel, you're going to be paid to do X, Y, and Z, all different types of things. So it's really good. I can't stress enough how important networking is. So other than that, other than jobs, I also got Pell Grant. So again, that's through the FAFSA application, and that's how I was eligible for work study. I also got several state grants as well. So I was eligible for a lot of Arizona state grants as in a matter of fact. And then I also got some scholarships for my college as well. So coming all the way from New Mexico, they were able to give me a couple extra or another scholarship that was eligible for students who are coming from very far distances. And there was a large amount of students who were coming from Hawaii to the school as well. So I was able to get under that scholarship that they have, just because, we're coming from far distances and everything. I also got a credit card too. My freshman year of college, I got a credit card, and I really do encourage you to do your research and to look and apply for credit cards, but be smart about it. Seriously, like do your research, learn what the credit card is, and learn good spending habits, because this can be really essential for you to start building credit while you're in college. So for me, I used a credit card for, groceries. I also used it for like my airline tickets whenever I went back home for the winter. And then it's really important for you to pay back on those as well. So make sure that you're paying back. So like I tried to use it more on like smaller purchases. So I would, buy my groceries or whatever, and then pay it off with, my checking account, basically. So that was able to help me to start building credit. And then that was able eventually to help me purchase my first car. So after that, so during the summer too is another good opportunity for you to find different things. So, make sure that you're doing a personal intake as well. If you need just a break from all the stuff that's happening over the semester and everything. And if you really need to take a break over the summer, or if you want to do something kind of like relaxed, make sure you're doing a personal intake. But this is also a good opportunity and a good time for you to kind of like, work for your money and everything. So lots of internships will happen during this time. There's also travel abroad opportunities that happen during the summer as well. You can get like another like seasonal job again. So like they're working during the summer just to save up some money for you. So I did an internship. I went back home for the summer and I got an internship to work in a finance department as an accountant, as an assistant, I guess, accountant. And through saving money with the paychecks that I was getting, I was able to get my first used car, and I missed that car so much. It was a 2004 Honda Civic that I actually got from my uncle, and it was such a good car. I was able to drive all the way back up to Oregon, and it was really great to have that again as another means to get around, because up to that point I was using public transportation or also just jumping in with my friends and everything. So when I got my car, it was a really game changer for me to get around, and then to go into Portland as well, to go into any like sport events and stuff. But again, some other things happen with that as well. So lots of trials and tribulations. So with my car troubles, since it was an older car, sometimes my remote battery wouldn't work, so I couldn't get into my car. Or I know my uncle installed like a security system in the car, so sometimes that would go off, or sometimes the battery would die, and I would have to. Luckily, our security on campus also offered like free general car maintenance. So like if you needed to jump your car, they would do that for free. So I had to do that a couple of times. Sometimes we would get stranded somewhere in town and we would have to have somebody come pick us up. So luckily I had some stuff in my savings to kind of cover some of the other things that I needed to pay for, but that was just some things that I needed to look out for. I also failed my first class my first year too. I failed my econ class. That class was like at 7 a.m. and when they say, try not to get your early classes, they really mean it. Some people are built for those. I wasn't, and I would keep missing classes, and eventually that reflected back into my my grades. I didn't do too good on my exams and my quizzes, and then eventually I failed that class, so I had to retake it. So it happens, like nobody has a perfect experience, but it's important to just know yourself and know your limits. And if you mess up or if you fail class or anything, it's not the end of the world. There's another time to take it. There's no rush in you having to get it done right away. If it's not your time, it's not your time. So I definitely had to retake that class, but the second time around, I was able to get a later class, so it worked out good for me. Um, I also experienced a little bit of homesickness and culture shock, especially in the fall time. A lot of like on the Navajo Nation, we have a lot of like the fairs that happen. We also, my family, we have a lot of get togethers and family reunions at that time. So just not being able to go home as often definitely made me a little sad because, I wasn't able to partake in that or to celebrate with family members and everything. My my first niece as well. She's my only niece actually. I was still a baby at this point too, so I didn't get to see her as often, and it made me miss her and everything. So yeah, but as you get along, like it's really important if you need help to seek out help. So no, don't let yourself get too deep into like the hole or like deep into like demotivation because that can happen. Of course, life happens. Unfortunately, you might go through some of your own trials and tribulations and errors that might happen. And it's really important to take some time for yourself to process those emotions or process those feelings. Seek out help if you need to. There's a lot of resources on campus. Again, really make sure that you take note of what's offered with your campus, the student success services or mental health services, and utilize those because those are readily available for you again as a student. So that way you don't dig yourself too deep into the demotivation or wanting to get not wanting to do anything because that can affect you and everything. And that kind of affected me a little bit. I lost my grandma my almost the end of my sophomore year, and I was very close with her. So it really affected my grades and everything. And after I was done with my classes, I decided to transfer closer to home. So I finished up my bachelor's degree at Fort Lewis College in Colorado. And I would say that that was a really important decision for me. I loved my life in Oregon. I had a lot of friends, and it was really hard to make that decision to move back home. But I think it was an overall good decision for me because I was closer to home, so I was able to, partake in different family activities, and I got to visit my grandpa a lot too, which I know he really enjoyed. And then it was also super affordable, a lot more affordable. I didn't have to worry about having to buy a plane ticket home and everything. And, Fort Lewis College is one of the colleges that offers free tuition to Native Americans. So that definitely helped, the tuition and the bills and everything. All I really had to pay for was my books and room and board. But even with that, we had a Native American center that offered free rental for books for the Native students. So that was really helpful as well. So again, I can't stress enough. Take advantage of these resources, seek out these resources. If you have any questions, please ask. It's never bad or never a bad thing to ask for help, or if you have a question about something you might have heard, definitely this is the place to do it in college. People want to help you. So take that in mind. But yeah, overall, I graduated with my bachelor's in business administration and eventually found my way into higher education where I found my passion for wanting to help students, wanting to help those who are in college and um, especially those who want to find additional opportunities to do and how to help them kind of get ready for, after they graduate and then the career spaces, and also helping those high schoolers who are in the space of, getting ready for college and kind of giving them the advice and everything on what I wish I would have had when I was getting into college for the first time. So yeah, that's my story. I will go ahead and pass the mic over to Shawn and he'll share his story.
Thank you, Adrianna. Yeah, no, so again, we have a lot of similar experiences. Mine definitely started a little bit closer at home as well. Again, I'll start it off a little prematurely with the summer planning session for me. I know for me, again, I was always really financially focused growing up, and I'm sure a lot of you probably have a similar mindset regarding finances and your outlook on that with family. I know for me, when I looked at schooling and specifically education in general, I wanted to be far enough where I can be on my own and be independent, but also be close enough where I can go back to support the family as needed. I also wanted to really give back as quick as possible. The last thing I wanted to do was really be a financial burden for my family. So I think that's really heavily important, especially when scholarships come to mind. So I know every summer leading up through high school, and even I think my first job was like eighth grade. I was always, sort of planning for the future. So I was already building up some funds. I had a summer job. And then when I did my first year, I actually did a first year at my community college here in town. I did that to really focus in and sort of knock off my general education credits. So those general eds, and of course, really just save a bunch in general on school. So I kind of missed the big university experience, but I think it's okay to really start off what's comfortable with you. So if you're more comfortable doing a community college or a tribal college or something that's a little closer to home, do that for a year, maybe for 2 years, get your associates, and then transfer over to a larger university down the road if that's something you're helpful with. But I know from there, I was able to transfer out to ASU, pretty much hit the ground running there. I think the biggest things for me, as soon as I got settled into a place close to campus, was okay, where's the Native American Center on campus and where's the financial aid office? I think those are the two biggest things you want to look at. And also, where's the bookstore? Because you'll be unfortunately spending a lot of money on books and other school essentials. So I think those three things are definitely the first things you want to sort of prioritize when you get to school. Getting some cultural connections on campus, I know for me, I definitely joined a different, I think that there's a Native fraternity group on campus there at ASU. I joined a variety of clubs. There was a couple of business clubs I joined. I did a couple of intramural sports, I believe, I think softball, there was a softball league as well as a baseball or a basketball league I did. And of course, at ASU, if any of you is interested in joining ASU and being a Sun Devil, it's AISSS is the American Indian Center on campus. I was definitely there quite a bit, for printing, just connecting or just to work on, future studies and readings for the upcoming course. So I think one thing what you're looking at is when you're joining a new university or college is really, again, falling back on what's useful for you. I know for me, I wanted to pick a place that was at least out of state, but thankfully with ASU, and one thing you want to sort of take into account is really looking at the financial aid opportunities. Do they offer both in-state and out-of-state tuition? Preferably, you would rather lean towards the in-state tuition. And definitely, again, look at all financial aid options. Unfortunately for me, my parents make just enough that I don't get Pell Grant. So unfortunately, I missed out on a lot of financial aid opportunity. So again, I think that's sort of why the financial focus for me really kicks in, because I wanted to sort of really zone in on paying off my tuition as quickly as possible. And I ended up taking out a loan on my undergrad as well as I did for my graduate degree. So just having the thought process of thinking forward and whether it's getting a credit card or getting your first bank account is really super helpful. That way you can sort of build that up and be able to really pay off that loan when it's time for you to graduate and move on to your career. So I think having that process for me was really helpful. When I graduated for my undergrad, I did my undergrad in business and health science. I was able to pay that off, I think, like 4 months after I graduated. So it was pretty quickly. The grad program, which is there at the WP Carey School of Business, was all obviously a lot larger. So I'm still trying to pay that off now. Um, but I think definitely being financially focused was always super helpful for me. I put this for under maneuvering the city in your campus. So this is sort of like a three little step I sort of, I guess, initially created for myself. You know, my first year, I pretty much just walked everywhere. I walked to class, I walked to my work, I walked to the nearest grocery store to really just save as much as I could because I didn't have a car at the time. But finally, I saved up to a bike like that second semester. And then finally, I graduated into actually be able to utilize in a car on campus. So again, you want to be careful with that though. If you do have a car or a vehicle, there's a lot of expenses that do come with that. You know, gas, maybe drive only if you need to. Carpool is always really helpful with friends and any close colleagues or maybe your roommate. But definitely, I know at Arizona State, definitely be careful of any fees you come across while in school. You know, I definitely paid a lot of unnecessary parking fees, which are definitely a pain in the butt, but you have to really pay attention to, especially if there's a lot of like university events or even town events. Oftentimes, their college hours don't carry over to that. So even if you do have a parking pass, really pay attention to when that parking is actually available for students, because oftentimes there will be a fee involved if there's some like a, you know, I know for us there was always like a big basketball or football event in town. So again, they would utilize a lot of those parking spaces on campus. And again, you know, jumping right into funding my education, which again, I think we were trying to really reach out to everybody on the call today. I know for me, I didn't get work study, but I did apply pretty much all over, and I was able to get a university position on campus. I think, you know, a couple months into my first semester, so I definitely worked that, and that definitely heavily flows into time management. Definitely find a good position that helps work around your schedule. So if you have afternoon classes or evening classes, definitely be able to work around that and work hours that are comfortable with you, but also don't be afraid to, you know, push the limit a little bit with your work hours. I know for me, I started off with the first initial position, and then I was able to, I believe, my second year in school, pick up a part-time internship. So I worked at a international scholarship office for a time. So I was able to work two jobs while going to school during my undergrad, and it was a lot. I think I missed out on some fun things, you know, whether it's, you know, trips overseas or studying abroad or something. But again, that was just my focus. I wanted to really pay attention to school, but also pay off school as quickly as possible. So I was super busy, super stressed, but I know you can do it if I can do it. So there's definitely a lot more readily available resources nowadays than when me and Adriana were in school. So definitely pay attention to time management. That's super key. Um, really lock in your work hours when you're available, you know, what opportunities are available, you know, if there's something over abroad or something overseas, maybe there's a summer internship you can do. I definitely worked every summer, pretty much leading up to school and during school as well. And again, it's just really leaning on that, making the right choices for you. If you really understand what you want to do, you know, the timetable is different for everybody. You know, you're not gonna, you know, knock out, you know, 4 years and then graduate. You know, some of us it takes 5 years. Yeah, I've had friends that taken, you know, 8 to 9 years to get their bachelor's degree. So again, all of our timetables are different. You know, don't be uh afraid of failure. You know, we all fail classes, fail interviews, fail you know, job applications or scholarship surveys. Definitely embrace that and keep going, because that's definitely not going to negate your overall passion for your education. And pretty much discipline is really key. You want to sort of really fall hard into discipline, you know, really understand what you want to do. And be definitely exploratory when you're in school. I think I changed major 2 or 3 times before I settled on business. And that carried over to my graduate program when I ended up getting my master's of business administration there at ASU as well. So again, it just takes a little bit of trial and error with you. Like I said, you're not going to be those students that, you might not be the student that knows right away what they want to do. And then once you even get into your school and then you're super passionate about a subject, you might be sort of second thinking yourself. So again, you might find a secondary, or maybe you want to double major in something. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for exploration for you. There's a lot of degrees. Definitely, speak heavily with any mentors. Like I said, like Adrianna said, networking is really key. I know for me, both at the American Indian Center and really, so I was able to come across some really friendly and really beneficial um, Native American faculty and staff on campus. So I was able to create and generate a lot of mentors over the years when I was there. So they always would give me an insight of, internships, or I know when I initially graduated with my undergrad, I had a mentor there on campus that sort of helped push me towards the direction of applying for grad school. So again, those are super helpful. Really pay attention to those, and they will definitely help you sort of find your career path going forward. I know for me, once I graduated, I worked full time for a year, but I knew I could always do so much more. So that's why I applied specifically for an evening MBA program, because I wanted to work full time and go to school full time. But again, I know that's not everyone's, you know, part, how would you say it? Their experience is different. If you want to be a little more adventurous and do something overseas, that's always on the table. So definitely keep your options open. And there's a lot of room for growth and friendships. So as you can see here, I made some really good connections on campus, some lifelong friends. But definitely pay attention to yourself and your schedule. You're not able to really do everything that you want to do, but definitely take advantage of the things that you are able to do and really make some great connections along the way. So, um, but yeah, with that, we'll pass it over. I know we're ending sort of the top of the hour here, so I don't want to take too long. But again, just thank you again for joining us on this little quick journey and discussion about some of the great things we did and some of the great lessons we learned while in school.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and open up the floor. If there's any questions, feel free to type it in the chat, or you can come off mic and talk if you need. But other than that, our week 2 evaluation can be found on the QR code. I always forget to do this, but let me get the actual link for y'all. But yeah, I hope this session and the experiences we shared resonate with you and kind of help you just give a little clarification that there are multiple ways that you can apply or that you can fund your way through college, other than scholarships. Of course, scholarships is the biggest way for you to do so, but there's other avenues for you to look at that as well. So with that, thank you again so much for joining us. We appreciated you all attending, and again, we have 2 more sessions coming up this week. Again, we will definitely have some more really great insights to talk about. We'll have Lara again, who's going to come tomorrow and share a little bit about her experience with traveling abroad and how she came about that process. And then we'll also have Brittany come and share more of the advising side and how advisors can really help you all as well. So yeah, some really good sessions lined up. Let me grab this link for you all to put in the chat. But again, if you want to do a QR code, please do that as well. I'm trying to put in the waiting room. So I put the link there. Please fill out the event evaluations. It helps with our feedback and also with our guests as well. So any questions, you can also leave it there as well. But yes, again, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all have a good rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and we'll see you again here at the same time for both Wednesday and Thursday. And again, any questions, reach out to us. But also, you can find a lot of information and the survey links from last week on our website, collegefund.org/go to college. So yeah, thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.